Hey folks, welcome back to Bullets and Brass. Today we are putting a bunch of premium and not so premium 9mm ammo into a tier list for defensive purposes. This is for EDC or general defensive use. We're going to break it down in the traditional tier system, but with a little twist. So we're going to minimize me and go to the list. Okay, so as you can see, we've got S tier, A tier, B tier, Q tier, which is questionable, and C tier, which is crap. Not the normal setup. Q tier is things where, in general, they are not necessarily the best choice, but in certain thought processes, certain criteria, they may be an excellent choice. So while we wouldn't pick them as our default, hey, we're going to use this for everything kind of thing, I don't want to leave them out, and I don't want to say they're not good. So, number one, and if you take nothing else from this video, this is it. Federal HST 124 grain is the shit. It is absolutely the one you want to use if you are looking for a general EDC ammo for a 9mm handgun. It just is. It hits every criteria beautifully. Now, if you have non-standard requirements, there may be something better, but it's really hard to go wrong. Let's be real. In real defensive use, the difference between these is not huge, but you're looking for every little edge, right? Every little percentage improvement, right? That's important. Critical? Are you going to shoot once or are you going to shoot a couple times? How good's your shot placement? That kind of thing. That matters more than the exact ammo you pick. Let's be real. Now, let's go. Going past the 124 grain HST, Ranger T, particularly the 124 grain and the 147 grain, really good ammo. Spear Gold Dot plus P, has to be the plus P. Very good. Again, also a law enforcement oriented round, but available. SG ammo, ammunition to go are both good sources for those. They don't get them in all the time, but they do get them in. Now, to me, that is the limit of the S tier. Those are the end of the ones where I'm like, just do it. No question. I absolutely, if those are on the shelf and you are looking for carry ammo, just go for it. After that, you get into things that are really good, but I wouldn't pick them over the S tier. You get what I'm saying? Like, these are still excellent ammos. These are still things that I absolutely count on, rely on. I think they're great. But if I'm looking at both on the shelf, I'm not taking it over an S tier. And just keep in mind, the 124 grain HST, it's the S tier of the S tier. Barnes TAC XP doesn't penetrate as far normally. A little lower velocity round in a carry size gun. Really good expansion. Related rounds. There's a couple other companies that make ammo using that bullet. Go for it. Modern Golden Saber. The old Golden Saber was a little different. Modern Golden Saber fits in this category. Hornady Critical Defense fits in this category. The other HSTs, the 115 and the 147, very good, just not as good as the 124. Now, we could argue that there are other rounds that fit in this category. People could say that like V-Crown should be in this category or things like that. Like some of the Corbon stuff. I don't think so. I think that most of that stuff is a generation back in terms of performance and has other things that make it less than ideal. I put all those in B tier. Okay? So that's everything else that is modern quality self-defense ammo that is not going to otherwise be mentioned. So this is V-Crown. This is a lot of the other Federal and Winchester offerings. Perfectly good ammo. A lot of the Corbon stuff. I put my favorite, one of my favorites in here, the Hornady XTP loads. They, by modern standards, tend to over-penetrate, and while they expand reliably, they don't expand as far as some of the other stuff. So, there are better choices. I'm not saying throw it out, just saying there are better choices. Now, if you specifically want that extra penetration, or in some of their cases, the reduced penetration, they can move up a tier. Not saying they're locked in. Now, here's where it gets weird. We're going to skip down to C tier because the Q tier is its own little world. C tier is everything that I wouldn't use. FMJs, TMJs, most jacketed soft points, older bonded ammo, the non-plus P 115 grain gold dots, the MagTech bonded jacketed hollow points. These either don't expand, massively overpenetrate, expand extremely inconsistently, or basically weren't reliable. They weren't good ammo for self-defense. I don't care how they're marketed. I wouldn't use them. Not for self-defense. Range ammo? Hey, you do you. Training ammo? You do you. Specialized stuff? Maybe. But think long and hard because there's probably something better. So let's get into the Qs. These are things that I think that in the right scenario, great. Winchester white box jacketed hollow points, and you can put the Aguila, you can put the Herders, a few other companies. These are, Remington makes some things in this category now, and used to. This is a generic bulk hollow point, meaning there's no high-tech precision stuff involved. There's nothing state-of-the-art. This is not, as Paul Harrell calls it, one of the hyper rounds. Very basic. But they work, and they're cheap. And the difference in actual results on the target is often so small as to be hard to measure. He tested this. He found that in terms of actual in the target results, when there were various barriers and bones and things like that involved, he wasn't convinced that the better ammo was really better. And I can't disagree. Especially when you factor in the cost. If you can practice more regularly with the less costly ammo and thus shoot it better, I think that's valuable. I think that can easily push it up into A tier. Now, the other way that gets into a higher tier is if you're buying bulk ammo. If you are buying ammo for, say, a shit hits the fan kind of storage, are you going to spend the money on HST? Really? I mean, if you are, go for it. I know I'm not. I can't afford that. So I'm looking at Winchester White Box or something like that as filler. What do you put back? What do you store in volume? It can be a quarter of the price. It can be massively cheaper. $25 for a 50 round box instead of $40 for a 20 round box. Older jacketed hollow point designs. Anything where their expansion is less reliable, they're going to overpenetrate more likely, or they're very specialized like laser safety slugs. These are things where you have to very carefully evaluate the ammunition in question and decide how it fits your needs. This is not for the average consumer to just go, oh yeah, I'll take a box of that. Be careful with your choice. Gold Dot G2 fits in this category. It behaves weirdly. I don't know what the scoop is. In most of the tests, it does weird things. The other biggie in this one is the Lehigh Defense Extreme Defender bullet. This is a bullet that does not work normally. So let's talk about it. Lehigh Defense's bullet here, and we've got it up on the screen, it works by basically hydrodynamics. It is creating a pressure wave when it goes through something that is like a body, like a living body, primarily water, primarily liquid. It works really well. But if it doesn't hit something like that, it tends to just keep on going. It doesn't deform much, it doesn't expand. So it is almost barrier blind entirely, which can be dangerous if you don't know what you're dealing with. If you do know what you're dealing with, it can be very valuable. As a police round in certain scenarios, excellent. As a self-defense round, as an anti-carjacking round, for example, if you need to shoot through your car door or glass and still want really good performance, that can be a good round. As a home defense round, I really wouldn't go that route. As much as I like it, I wouldn't go that route. If you miss, it's going through multiple walls. It just is. It's just, this is the kind of round that's going to go through cinder blocks and still have significant energy on the other side. So be careful with this one, but in the right scenario, excellent. One thing that's particularly nice about these is you notice the weight, 90 grain here instead of 115 or 124. You can get some good velocity at lower recoil with this. It works really well in its niche. Is your personal favorite not on the list? Go look it up. See where it should fit. One of the things you can really look at is this sheet it's on the Ammunition to Go webpage on their blog section. They've reviewed multiple calibers in many of the different ammos. Expansion, velocity, penetration out of a normal carry gun. Not at a distance, not out of a long barrel gun. They used it out of a carry gun at reasonable self-defense distances. That's valuable. You can look up your round. If your round isn't in that list, there's probably a reason. So take care, have fun, stay safe, and keep shooting.